Man, this stupid thing is on here. Let me turn some of this flow off here so I can see in the tank. Well, let's just kill the flow altogether. I plugged this power head in somewhere else, I guess. There it is. Let's leave that right there so I don't forget it's unplugged. Alright. So what we're trying to do here is, I got all these green pallies stuck on this egg crate, and I want to cut them off, and I want to put them into this attachment tank so that I can start attaching them to some gravel, you know. Let's see. What am I using here? I'm using this reef dip here. It's an iodine based reef dip. Alexa, decrease volume by 1. It's basically an iodine dip like Lugol's. Aha, it's leaking too. Leaking all over the place. It's leaking, but I can't get the lid off. All right, let's see if we can get some of these guys out. Okay. You know what? We got to change of plans here. I am going to, since I killed the flow in here, I'm just going to move all the corals on this rack. I'm going to take the whole rack out, and then I can just cut them off that way, so I'm not fighting with it. All right. Since I don't have anything on this rack anyway, we'll just pull the whole thing out. It's going to make it easier. You can see on the rack all these little polyps. These are all green palythoas we're going to cut off and just throw in this attachment tank over here. Get them on some rubble so I can glue them onto some frag plugs. Oh, so the process is literally just cutting them off the egg crate. Just like that. And every single one of these polyps will grow into another colony of palythoas. These guys have really only been, it's not going to focus. They've really only been growing on this rack for like a month that they've taken off. It's not a terrible idea with these pallies if you want to wear goggles because they shoot water out when you cut them. And we'll just drop them all in our dip for, 15-20 minutes. The hard part's just getting them all off the egg crate. Not missing any. I've got about 300 of these pallies I got to get rid of. I already got a ton of them. Where'd he go? This is just a cheap scalpel I got, stainless steel. It does a pretty good job. As long as you clean them off, you know, when you're done, because stainless steel I found will, it's not 100% stainless. Like over time with the salt water, it can rust still. So you want to make sure you clean all your equipment off when you're done fragging or using it for sure. This isn't hard. It's just kind of time consuming. Not difficult. You just got to take your time. Well, I got nothing else really going on. I thought I'd just get some of these guys off and get them attached. Sometimes they get on here in a goofy way. Oh, sometimes they shoot off there like that. This guy's a double head. We're gonna cut. No, I'm not wearing gloves. I understand the risk with pallies, the palytoxin or the neurotoxin that they have. I've never had an issue with it. Maybe that's just like a false sense of security, but I've handled these guys a ton, never had an issue with them. Excuse me. They pop off these things pretty easy. You don't, I don't know how close up a shot I can get here. Let's see where we at. So this polyp right here, you can obviously see the body here, then you got the head. So you go all the way down to the egg crate and you got the foot right here. And you want to take your razor blade or your scalpel and you want to cut as close to the egg crate as you can so you don't damage the flesh on the bottom of the polyp here on the foot. You're going to, you're not gonna, you're trying to minimize the damage. We are cutting these guys, you know, so you are going to have damage to tissue. I don't care how many precautions you take, but just try to keep your razor blade or scalpel as close to the foot as you can here. Really concentrate on that and just go slow, and they will come right off like that with minimal damage to the tissue. You just got to take your time with it and be careful with them. We got a Astrina starfish. Put him in there. I know a lot of people don't like them. They throw them away, but I like having them in my systems as long as they're the right species. They're detrivores, you know. You just got to keep an eye on the population with them. You can keep the population of those things in check by your, you know, water changes if you get rid of them, or a harlequin shrimp. If you find a good one, they'll eat them. Now, if I can't see the foot on a guy where I'm cutting them, you know, you gotta be able to see the foot where you're cutting, or else you're just going to start chopping these guys up, and we don't want to do that. Yep, you just take your time. They should come right off. So I don't know, we probably got maybe 15 or 20 so far. Like, these are all just corals that if you don't pay attention, you're going to scrub your egg crate or when you clean it or whatever and just kill them all. You know, you can get more coral if you pay attention. That's what you're going for. Like I said, I got about 200 of these guys. I don't even know. I don't like killing any coral. Even if I have like 300 of a certain kind, like I don't want to kill any of it. I want to propagate it. At least give it away to somebody, you know, maybe a new hobbyist or something getting into it. I don't know. I don't like killing things. Except spiders. I can't stand spiders. We'll kill them unless they're too big, and then I got to get my wife to do it. Let's see if we can get this guy up here. Come on, little guy. You can't stay there. You know what? I don't like these tweezers because they're real sharp and pointy, and I'm afraid I'm going to puncture one of these guys. I'm going to use some tweezers with some flatter tips. Yeah. Okay. Did we get all of them? Nope, here's a couple. Just kind of trace the egg crate. They fall right off. All right. Nope. Here's another one. They just keep popping up. All right. Now I think we got them all. Nope. One more. All right, I think we got them all now. I see an aptasia on here I want to get off though while it's out of the water. I try to get rid of aptasia whenever I can. All right, let's get this rack back in. Actually, while this is out, I want to get some of this detritus out of the tank. So just a quick, easy way to do that, I'll just take a turkey baster here since I'm not doing a water change. I'm just going to suck it up and shoot it down the overflow box into the filter sock for now. Yeah, just a little tip for you. When you're cleaning stuff out of the tank, if you run into a pocket, I like to try, because there's always going to be spots in your aquarium. I don't care how good a flow you have. You you're going to have little pockets where detritus collects, and every aquarium is different in regards to that. All right, and we got a little palythoa here. Looks like he got blown off a frag plug, so we'll just glue him to a plug real quick. I don't have to attach him, he's already attached to something. Get one of my concrete frag plugs that I make here. Let's see if we got a spot in this tank over here for this guy. This is typically my quarantine tank I use. But I am so overrun on pallies right now, I had to clean it out and just fill it with palythoas. Yeah, so this is just a 20-gallon standalone aquarium that I built the stand for, and just a real simple little sump setup. Just one filter sock, protein skimmer, sponge filter for more mechanical filtration, and I've got just a real cheap LED light just for some of the live rock down here in the sump for the refugium. Very simple setup. One power head up here, just one return. You know, I did drill the tank through the back there. Small aquarium, but it does its job. Like I said, mainly this is the quarantine tank I use for quarantine, but I had to put all these pallies in here because I'm just out of room back in the frag system. And we will check on the 75 here a little bit later. But it's really starting to look good when the lights are on. And here's the nano tank I did a video on a couple weeks ago, the build on this guy. I have been extremely happy with how he turned out. Got a couple corals in here growing out. Neon green Sinularia. I got a Redactus mushroom, Recordia mushroom, regular Sinularia, some green star polyps, some grand mole pallies down here. This big toadstool leather I kind of put here under the arch. I did build these rock structures back in the barn. This toadstool I put here, I kind of envisioned him filling in, you know, kind of being like a big centerpiece on this little tank. I thought that would be cool. Xenia, Possilopora on the top, and then just your standard Seriatopora, bird's nest coral on the top of the arch. But overall, I'm very happy with how this little tank turned out. How I was able to just like utilize the space over my ATO tank down here. I really like how it utilized that space. And one of the things that I wasn't super happy with was the return line on the plumbing, the way I ran it in here into the sump. It could have been done better for maintenance, but I'll make it work. It'll be all right. It's up and running, and the corals are happy, and it looks really good. So I'm not complaining too much about that. All right, back to what we're doing. Check my TDS meter. And we're at 0, so we're good. Just making some salt water for later this weekend to do some maintenance and water changes. All right, let's put our crate back in the tank. Okay. Let's get our corals back up here that we took off. There's actually, this must be the plug where that pally came off of, so it's an empty plug. Put these guys back. Safavian, Galaxia. There's a big ol' Aptasia on this guy. I'm going to get off while I got him. I try to get rid of Aptasia whenever. I don't know if you can see him there. There he is. So I'm just going to take my scalpel and cut him off, and we can get into a discussion on how this makes them spread, because they release, you know, cells into the water. We could, but we're not going to. All right. All right, I think we got everything back together here. Can you see that Xenia? I got the flow off in the tank and he's pulsing like crazy. Like low flow situations, if you can put a Xenia there, it tends to help them pulse better if they are the pulsing variety of Xenia. All right. Should be about time to get these guys into the aquarium. All right. This is the first time I'm putting coral into this tank, this attachment tank that I made. Haven't used it yet. And see how it goes. Just gonna dump some of this water out, so it's easier to pick these guys up. Pallies are really hard to pick up because they're so slimy and small. So I'm gonna try to just grab a bunch of them. There's one thing when setting this aquarium up, I knew I was gonna run into a problem, is my clearance from the top of the tank to here. But this is all the space I have to utilize. So I knew that was gonna be a downside to this aquarium. But I think it's gonna serve its purpose well. Oh, come on. What I'm gonna do over here is unplug the pump for this tank so that all these pallies can just kind of, I'm just gonna dump them in and then they can settle to the bottom. So I'll turn the flow off and give them a chance, you know, to kind of attach down here before I turn it back on. And I'll leave them in here for probably about 2 weeks or so. It'll take about 2 weeks for them to fully attach to the substrate, and then I can glue them directly onto a frag plug. These guys are so hard to pick up. So this aquarium that I didn't do a video on it. It is a very low flow aquarium. Like it barely has any flow going through it at all, just so that the soft corals can attach to substrate. That's the whole purpose of this aquarium. Can't get these last ones out. Come on, I don't want to dump them down the drain. Ah, I lost one. It's my tweezers. He's all slimy and not happy. Got 3 more in here. I want to cut this neon green Sinularia I got and get him attaching to some rubble. Come on, dude. No, there's always something to do here. Like, if you're farming coral at all, like, there is always something to be doing. You can always find something to do. All right. I will let them sit in there for a bit before I turn the flow back on. Just somebody remind me to turn that pump back on. Okay. Now, I know I got some more in this frag tank I got to get out. But I'm not sure on the logistics of that yet. And I'm wondering if this is actually a little mushroom on here, guys. Let's get my flashlight and go into a dark room and see here. I'm not sure what he is on here. Oh yeah. You can't really see it. He's not glowing on the camera, but there is definitely a very tiny red discoma mushroom on this plug I about threw away. So I'm glad I checked. This Orphic Reflight, it's just like an intense blue LED flashlight from Orphic. It does really good I use it mainly for inspecting plugs. So if there's a little coral in a plug that you can't tell, like it'll glow. There's bad things that glow too, don't get me wrong, but I use this little flashlight for finding corals and pests mainly. So he's got a mushroom on him. He's going to go back in. And I think we can turn our flow back on in this aquarium. And it didn't turn on. I'm pretty good about keeping my power heads clean, but as they age and get older, sometimes they don't kick back on. There we go. Let's get our wave maker back on. I'm not sure. This is the Higer HG070 25 watt. I think it was like 75 bucks on Amazon. Like, you can't beat it for the price. There we go. We're back on. Except I can't get it back on the screw. There we go. All right, we got our flow back on. I know the lights aren't on, guys. I got more pallies in this tank, but I am out of room in these frag systems. This is the neon green Sinularia that I kind of want to frag up, but I want them to be a little bigger first before I do that. These palythoas down here, they were up in the frag tank. They bleached out pretty good. They're not dead. They're actually still encrusting on the tiles, but they are not happy, and it's going to take a while for them to come back. Like this guy here, he's doing really well in there. Okay, so you can see the green on him when I shine the flashlight on him. And those guys are pretty much just white. So he's in the hospital tank. They're getting better. Alright. I don't think there's anything to do in the soft tank right now. We are probably actually in pretty decent shape. This is just a small aquarium going to a sump. Protein skimmer, just filter sock, mechanical filtration, heater, auto top off. This is just all rose bubble tip anemones in the tank, propagation tank for those guys. That is all that is. Let's turn our flow back on this guy here. See if he blows these polyps around at all. Let's make sure they don't fly around the tank, since this is the first time I'm using it. So I've got one inflow nozzle here. This is all half-inch PVC plumbing I used for this tank. So I got a half-inch inlet. Then I drilled the aquarium, and it's got half-inch plumbing that goes out the back down into the sump. So it's just using the water from essentially from right here, this frag tank, all the way down that hallway is all one system that shares this sump. That's my frag system. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. These guys aren't getting blown around. They're going to attach to this rubble down here. And then in a couple weeks, I'll be able to glue them to frag plugs. And I have noticed, like, these are all palythoas for people just popping in, green palythoas. I came to realize I used to try to flip them up, so they're standing up and their head is facing towards the light. because I figured that it would help them attach better, because that's how they grow, you know, on rocks and stuff. But from my experience, it doesn't really matter. I just throw them all in there, let them settle. However they land, and they will attach to that rubble. Like, I don't have to micromanage it nearly as much as I thought I had to, you know, a few years ago. So you learn. That's how you learn. I'm going to kill the light on that one for now. Let those guys settle in. Let's see what else we got to do. I'm thinking about increasing my feeding schedule to, I'm going to add another day during the week of feeding the Coral AB+. I've noticed some really good coloration in some of the coral using that, and I like it, and I think I'm going to stick with it. What else we got, guys? Let's see if we got anything out here on the main tank. Well, there's the emerald crab out on top of that moon coral. He typically only comes out when the lights are off. I do have a blue hippo tang in here that I've noticed these clownfish over here. They are picking at him and they're chewing him up. So I don't know if I need to get him out into another system or just get rid of the mean clownfish. That's who I'm trying to find right now. I don't see him anywhere. There's a coral banded shrimp. That acan's pretty happy. So is that toadstool. I don't see that tang. He must be hiding. Okay. I don't think I'm going to do this rack right now. I'm going to let it go. All right. I will clean this up. I need to do some fragging here soon with the saw. It's been a while since I've done that. I might have a Favia colony to cut up within the next week or so. Probably about yay big. Yeah, about like that. Let's see where our water's at. All right, still probably got about 2 hours on that before the water's done. All right. We're going to give this glass a little scrub. It's looking kind of dingy. I'm real big on keeping the glass of the aquarium clean. I have found that this is true. I've heard people say it before, but if you have dirty glass, you tend to not look at your aquariums as much because they're not as pretty, right? So if you keep your glass clean, you're going to have a much better view of your corals. You're going to be able to monitor your corals better for health and growth and coloration. And you're going to enjoy your aquarium much more. Because here's the thing, like when your friends come over your house and see your saltwater aquarium and they're like, oh, that looks awesome, I love it. That's great and all, but what you really want is you want like your other aquarium friends to come over. Like if you're part of a reef club or something, they come over and they see your tanks and they're like, oh man, that's awesome, that's beautiful. Then you know you're doing something when other aquarists give you that compliment. Not just people that don't know anything about the hobby, you know. I typically try to clean the glass when the lights are on because it's much easier to see the dirt. But it's all right. Give it a quick scrub. I'm not going to worry about the back glass right now. I got to do water changes later this weekend, so I'll get that then. All right. I like to hit this guy, the anemone tank, with just a toothbrush. I found that a toothbrush is the easiest way to get into this tank around the rocks and everything. So just every couple of days, I'll just go around it, and it really seems to be keeping the algae down. I don't have any fish in here. I don't have any crabs, or got some of the Astrina starfish and or the Astrea snails as well. That's about it. And the anemones. This tank's been up for probably 6 months, 7 months maybe ish, something like that. But the anemones in there are doing good. You can't really see them right now. They're starting to get big. So they're happy. That's what matters. All right. We are done. We are done with the hallway. I'm trying to debate if I want to do my dosing or not right now. So I want to change a few things. I am not running the dosing pump on here. And I'll tell you why. Because this pump, it was dosing my calcium, but it was also dumping in the alkalinity with the calcium. There was a malfunction in one of the pump heads. And I noticed it because I keep an eye on my corals, and I noticed some of the stony corals staying like really retracted. And with the testing on the alkalinity, I found that the alkalinity was rising up, and I traced it back to the pump. It was malfunctioning. So I am hand dosing. alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. I'm doing that every day. And then once a week right now, I'm doing the AB Plus coral food, which I really like. And then I am doing trace elements once a week as well. And this system here, like this monopora, he's probably about a foot, a little over a foot wide and a foot and a half tall. He's getting big. There's another one up here and a giant Fabia coral here. He's about a foot and a half. They are really starting to soak up the alkalinity. So they're just, the bigger they get, the more alkalinity and trace elements they use. So I have to constantly be adjusting my dosing to accommodate for that. It's part of the game. But this Monty, he's starting to get some horizontal offshoots, some growth, you know, not going vertical. He's coming horizontally now. And like that is all new growth within the past week and a half or so. Like, so my parameters on this system, I know that they are really starting to come together because the entire ecosystem is starting to flourish. This is a mixed reef. So the soft corals, flourishing. The LPS, flourishing. I got a little bit of SPS in here. That's a Palythoa. He's really starting to take off. When you look at this moonstone coral, he's extended and happy. So this tank is reaching that point to where everything's going to start just exploding, and my algae is receding and going away. So I know that this tank is really starting to make a turn, and it's going to just basically explode in growth here soon. And I will document that for you guys. All right. Excuse me. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to hook an air pump up to this skimmer and see what it does. I think it's going to over skim it, but I think it's going to be too much for it. So I got this air pump I'm just kind of experimenting with here. Let's plug it in. All right. Let's plug it into the skimmer and see how it affects it. That's what I thought. That's kind of what I thought. It's going to be too much. So if I crack this valve open a little bit here, I'm trying to get more bubbles in the skimmer. This is an extremely old protein skimmer. All right, when I turn up the flow, the airflow, the skimmer doesn't like it. All right, trial and error, guys. Like, it's got a lot of bubbles swirling around in the chamber of the protein skimmer, but they're big bubbles. There we go. That's a little better. See, see how it looks all fuzzy now? You want the micro bubbles because that's what really binds, you know, all the organics in the water column are those micro bubbles. So I'm really just trying to get this thing dialed in here. I know it's really hard to see on the camera here, but what I'm looking at is in between the collection cup and this bracket here. I can see the bubbles collecting here. That's what I want. All those micro bubbles coming to the surface here. All right, that'll work. So our bubbler is not the answer. We know that now. I think I can utilize this back here. Where do I want to hook this thing up at to have it run? I guess I could just set this thing on the floor, really. I'm not going to be using it like all the time. All right. That's what I'll do. I'll just break this out when I need to use it for dipping and acclimation. So I will just throw this back here for when I need it. All right. So we got that tray pretty much completely cleaned off, which is what we were going for. Because I'm going to have a lot of coral coming in to fill up that area. And I got to be making some room. I got to get rid of some of these pallies. Speaking of pallies, we'll check on our guys that we put in here earlier. They're not getting blown around, so I think I'm happy with that. All right. Do one more check out here, make sure everything's back on. I got all my pumps running. Check this tank we were working on earlier, make sure it's all running. We got the skimmer back online, heater's good, power head's good. All right. All right, guys. I think that'll do it for this morning. We're going to close up shop. I think we got everything done we needed to this morning, and I will see you guys on the next one. Happy reefing. Have a good day.